welcome to Blood, Sweat, and Lemons. This is a podcast from two sisters who come from wildly different backgrounds and are extremely different people who happen to leave their jobs in finance and advertising to come on board their family's food distribution company. I'm Natasha.
I'm Felicia.
I thought it would be fun for us in our first podcast to give a flavor of what life is like owning a produce and food distribution company, because
I don't know anyone else.
I don't know anyone.
Our age.
No. So my friends they're all wonderful professions. They're in finance, they're in the corporate world, they're teachers, they're nurses. Some people might even own small businesses, but those folks do not ever show up at an account's place of business with a bat. And that's where this story begins.
And this episode is called Big Restaurant, Tiny Penis.
Okay, so for anyone that's been following Felicia on social media for the past year, they know that she has been dealing with an account on the North Shore, and they've been real fast and loose with how they're paying their vendors. We were one of their vendors, and we no longer are, or we definitely aren't after what happened yesterday. And so Felicia's been trying to get this place to pay, and the chef has decided, who's not the owner, that he's going to every once in a while order from our company, and then he'll pay like a check or a cash or something on delivery. So long story short, this check that was given to us for this delivery, which was quite large, bounced. And Felicia texted me and said, I'm going to this restaurant today. Do you want to come? And I was like, let's fuck some shit up.
No, I didn't even ask if you wanted to come.
Oh, I just said I was going.
You were like,
I'm coming.
Sign me up. But I think the tiniest bit of backstory.
Yes, we should probably do that.
So this restaurant came to us in the middle of the summer. We were just focused on, okay, we need to get all these orders out.
Because summer's our busy season.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more difficult to stay on top of accounts paying because you're so busy trying to get the orders out and not recouping that money, just because everything is really fast paced in the summer. And then the girl in the office kept telling me they're overdue. But it happens to be a restaurant in a really wealthy part of town.
Yes.
So it didn't really faze my mind that these people were up to anything nefarious. And then very quickly,
I mean, they're packed every night. This town has 3 restaurants. They're one of 3.
Yeah. The thing about our business is that most of our customers, our father has had for, close to 20 or 30 years. So,
yeah.
And the thing that you don't really realize, that even though we do carry a lot of products, our inventory is probably like 5,000 different items you could possibly order on any given day. Restaurants, for the most part, order the exact same thing every single day because their menus don't typically change. And so every day when people put in orders, it's typically the same thing. And what started tipping me off about this restaurant was they started ordering so haphazardly. One day it would be a bunch of meat, and one day it was a 50-pound bag of popcorn kernels. Then it was like a bunch of bread. And
the real tipping point, though, was 12 boxes of canola fry oil.
All of a sudden, he calls me almost at midnight asking for 12 boxes of fry oil, which are 35-pound boxes that restaurants put into their fry-o-lator. Unless you're running a county fair, you do not need 12 boxes of fry oil.
No.
Restaurants go through quite a bit of fry oil. But, if I could guess off the top of my head, maybe 4 boxes a week.
Oh, that's like max.
And that's a lot. So
that's if you're being nice and you're changing your oil.
Yeah, so when this guy ordered 12 boxes of fry oil, the only thing it said to me was, your other vendors are cutting you off and now you're stockpiling fry oil. So I called him and I was like, you're up to an uncomfortable number, like you're in the 5 digits now of not paying your bill. And every time I said something, the check is in the mail. Oh, the check is with the bookkeeper. I've actually now, because it's gotten so bad in the last year, that I actually call different vendors, and I'm very open about it. And you'd be surprised at how much information people give me about accounts or what they've gone through personally. And
the industry as a whole, while it's become smaller, like
still very competitive.
It's still super competitive. It's mostly dominated by these big companies now, like a Cisco or US Foods or Gordon or Reinhardt, something like that. You probably see them delivering outside of restaurants in your area. And then there are small amounts of companies left, like my dad's company. It was always for years and years and years, these little small, little family run shops. And then they slowly closed. Their children didn't want to take over these companies because let me tell you, it's fucking hard. And, now there's just my dad who's like this little independent guy. He's the only one left. And I mean,
but even though our direct competitors are huge chain nationally run companies,
so nice.
The sales reps are local guys.
Yeah.
And they have seen our trucks. They know our dad. So they definitely know, like, hey, this is a family run company. So a lot of these people will help me. I called one vendor. He said, you know what? I've heard some pretty bad things about this restaurant, and I'm going to make a couple of calls, and because I think that they're also up to no good. But he said to me, they're not overdue with us because if somebody's overdue, we don't ship. And if somebody says the check is in the mail, I ask for the check number.
Yeah.
So I've definitely been able to get, because I don't have a background in wholesale distribution.
No, that's not what you went to school for?
Or collection services. So I've definitely, over the course of a few years, gotten tips from other vendors, which has been incredibly nice and helpful.
Yeah,
and
they've been really nice.
Now I have a pretty good system laid out, but we still get clobbered, every now and then. But so anyways, this guy tried to order 12 boxes of canola fry oil, and that was really the last straw, because unless you're running a county fair, you do not need 12 boxes of fry oil. And so I called him and I said, I will send you 4 boxes and you're cut off, buddy. And then it started months long project of calling the owner and the chef and the bookkeeper, and I ended up meeting the owner, and it just got really out of control. And so I've been able to get them down to like a reasonable number, I guess, if you want to say that. And so the chef separately has been also ordering. So when he placed an order last week, I didn't think that his check would bounce at all.
Side note, Natasha's never liked this guy. Felicia, sometimes I think you're the meanest person alive. You've been so nice to this guy. You don't think so?
Well, the owner is definitely up to something nefarious.
She has so much faith in this chef. And from day one, I was like, I don't like this guy. I think he's shisty. He gives me a bad vibe. They all give me a bad vibe at this restaurant, but I didn't like this guy.
The thing that I've learned from you, and you don't do collections ever. You never step out into...
I did yesterday.
You did yesterday. But you
don't... Maybe the story of what happened yesterday is why I don't do collections.
Or maybe I think it might be your new calling, because Natasha, I usually just like let people talk, and I'm just like, oh my God, you drone on. And Natasha was like, if these people keep going on and talking in circles, that means that they don't have the money and they have no intention of paying you. And that has tracked for a few times now. So last week when he placed an order, we definitely are on an uphill battle with this restaurant, but the chef assured me there would be a check from him personally. So we made the delivery, we got the check. I actually went above and beyond and deposited the check that day.
Look at you.
And then, because we don't share banks, if you're in like a business checking account, I don't know about normal people, but it takes about a week to figure out that your check has bounced. So 1 week later, I was checking the bank account before I went to bed last night, and there was a bounced check, and I was like, who is this from? I looked it up. Sure enough, that guy. I didn't sleep a wink.
I think you told me that you slept for 6 minutes because you told me that your internal core body temperature had reached 250.
I had my sleep mask on with my eyes completely open.
And underneath the sleep mask.
Yeah. Because I was like, well, maybe if I put my sleep mask on, I'll go to sleep. And I was like, nope.
So I woke up that morning and I was like, why did Felicia text me at 7 o'clock in the morning? And that's when I found the text message. And you were enraged. And you were like, I'm putting a bat and a 2-wheeler in my car, and I'm going down there, and if he doesn't have the cash to give me for the total amount of the bounce check, I'm cleaning out his walk-in.
Like, I went to our warehouse and I took 2 of the company's 2-wheelers, and I couldn't even fit 2 2-wheelers in my car. And I literally like...
How? You have a Tahoe?
No, because it was filled with all my other stuff in the middle section, so I only had the back. So I actually could not...
What's your other stuff? Jimmy Choo boots?
Yeah.
Podcast equipment?
Yes.
Fur coats?
Yes. So I'm rolling down the North Shore with two two-wheelers, two boxes of Jimmy Choo boots, two fur coats, and podcast equipment. And I always somehow find myself in the middle of these situations and just stop and laugh. Because the thought of a little bald boy driving through the North Shore with
she's referring to herself,
with two-wheelers, $1,500 in boots, no, $3,000 in boots.
No one needs to know how much those Jimmy Choo boots are. The Jimmy Choo boots, the story of the Jimmy Choo boots is its own podcast episode.
Yeah, and it never ceases to amaze me what I actually live and breathe on a daily basis.
Let's pivot. This is what her sister's wearing on the way over to shake this man on down. I have on, no lie, periwinkle colored leggings. Periwinkle. What? Are you afraid of anyone in periwinkle pants? Absolutely not. You know what I'm listening to on the radio to pump myself up for this interaction? Delicate by Taylor Swift.
Do you know what's so funny? When I got in my Tahoe, I put the car on and Tell Me Lies from Fleetwood Mac was on, and I was like, wow, what a jam. And that like really got me going. And then when I met up with Tasha, I got in her car. She's straight pumping rap. And I was like, who is this?
I was listening to J. Cole.
Who is this soccer mom listening to rap? Here I am. This little bald boy looks like Hell's Angels rolled up blasting Fleetwood Mac.
She was.
So anyway,
I just thought of every possible thing that had enraged me that week, and the list is long, and I was like, I'm gonna harness all of this rage and I'm just gonna storm into this man's kitchen in my periwinkle pants, and I'm taking everything: aprons, cups, open spices.
Yeah, I was like
Tasha, she goes, Tasha, calm down, it's only if he doesn't give us the money that we raid his kitchen. I was like, I'm getting an industrial sized mixer. How am I gonna get it out? You see me trying to move this 1-ton piece of equipment.
But I was also thinking about the different scenarios that would take place of me like emptying out their kitchen, and then also if they did pay, if we did have to empty out their kitchen, if I actually did get arrested, because you're technically stealing the items within their kitchen. So I was like,
they're technically stealing from us if you really go down that rabbit hole.
No, I know, but it would be a civil matter, of course. But if they did call the police, I was like, oh my God.
It nets out. A theft and a theft nets out.
Yeah, but like how...
Dear officer, he stole from me, so I stole from him.
No,
please let us go.
No, 100%. But like my thing was like, okay, well, the officer comes and you're in the act of stealing. He doesn't know your backstory. What if I do get arrested? And then I was like, well, what do I do?
Bat your eyelashes.
And then yeah, right. And then I was like, well, what do I do with my Tahoe key? My Jimmy Choo boots are in there.
Oh, actually, so our dad knew that we were off to go confront this man.
I called Dad at 4:30 in the morning, and I was like, unhinged.
And so our father's like a very even keeled Wes. He's very even keeled.
Well, until you piss him off.
Until you piss him off. But I also feel like Dad doesn't ever think about us that often. You know what I mean?
He's like, they're fine.
Like, I have children and they're alive somewhere and I'm sure they're great. And
they'll figure it out.
We love our father, and I know he loves us, but he also takes that like very old school approach to like, someone's taking care of them. Their mother must have handled this in some way.
Yeah. Like if he took care of us when we were kids, he'd be like, so they changed their own diapers, huh? They'll be fine.
She's 8 months old. Does she make her own sandwich at this point?
One time I was watching a movie with Dad, and I had to have been like 4 years old, and he was drinking a beer and eating Red Hot Blue chips, which are incredibly spicy, and especially when you're a toddler, pepper is spicy.
Yes.
Okay, so
minty toothpaste is spicy to my 4-year-old.
Only thing he hands me the Red Hot Blues chips, and he was like, "Here you go, kid." And I was like, "This isn't going to incinerate my tongue." And that was all that I was offered. Like, that's our dad.
So we went to the town where this restaurant is located, where we also own a home. Totally separate podcast. That can take up months of our time to talk about that. But we're renovating this house, so we go to meet up with the contractor while we wait to meet up with the chef of this restaurant. And in through the door walks Wes Carr. And we were like, what are you doing here? He drove all the way to this town, which is super out of the way.
An hour away from him.
Yeah, 40 minutes away from where we live. And he was like, oh, just checking up on you guys. We frightened Dad.
Make sure you're not arrested.
When I'm with my dad every morning at the produce center, and when we were departing, this is before he arrived in the town and found us, and he looked at me and he looked real confused and he was like, so, what are you going to do with your car? I was like, I don't know. I'm going to trade it in July. And he goes, no, like today, what are you going to do with your car when you get arrested? You better park it someplace where it can stay overnight. And I looked at him and dead serious. I was like, are you going to come bail me out? He goes, yeah. Just give me a call. I should have known then, when he was already thinking about the logistics of what to do with my car for an overnight jailhouse stay, that I should have realized how worried he was about us.
Yeah.
So the look on his face when he walked through the door was pure relief.
Yeah. Because I think he thought
They're
that we
alive.
were. Yeah, I think he thought we were probably already in jail.
I guess I'll just go to the house. I'll check on the work that they're no longer going to be able to do because now they're in jail.
So
Say goodbye, my goodbyes.
So we go over to the restaurant, and like I said, Natasha really does not or ever done collections with me, and so lately it's been a little all over the map. I'll go to a place, I'll call them, I'll email them, I'll text them. I kind of run the gamut on,
And it's bad lately.
and it's very bad lately.
Like, I need to say this. Like, restaurants are struggling.
Well, it's 100% worse now than it was in COVID.
Yes.
which
It's crazy.
Which caught me off guard because
I was like, COVID's over.
right.
Yes.
Right, but like the inflation is really hitting these places hard.
We completely understand that it's a very difficult time of year. But also, please don't lie to me and tell me that your stepson cleaned out your business bank account, because like that's physically impossible unless he's on the account.
Well, I remember now that I've been doing this part of the business for 4 or 5 years now, I remember years ago, people would start telling me all these crazy excuses as to why they were overdue, why they couldn't pay, why they were delayed. And I remember saying to myself, I should really start like a list of all the excuses because they're kind of comical. And then now that I'm so far in, you could tell me that your grandmother died and it doesn't faze me anymore, which is
She's a cold bitch, people.
well, no, I've just heard so many excuses. Like,
Yeah.
one time, and this was before I like knew the jargon of business, because I only speak in Photoshop. That's my love language is Photoshop. So this one guy owed us so much money, and he was like, "Well, I'm waiting for capital," and I was like, "What the fuck is capital?"
She called me. She goes, Tasha, what is capital?
And it's like, it doesn't even matter because you owe us money. But now that I'm so far in, it's just a fancy word for you don't have any fucking money. Like, it's not like an investor or anything. It's just you're waiting for money to come through your doors. And it's like, so am I,
And the thing is that this is going to sound mean, but like, I don't care if you're going to stiff a Reinhardt.
Yeah.
They
don't feel it.
They don't feel it. But you have a small company that's run by one man. He is the sole owner. His children have come on board to help him run it. And we have, a few drivers and some very old trucks. When you don't pay your $1,200 bill, we feel that. So,
well, I think
if you're going to go and like stiff anyone, go stiff US Foods. No offense, US Foods. Just not us.
Love you, US Foods. Great,
Love you.
Great guys.
They are.
But yeah, but at the same time, those larger businesses will cut you off quicker. Somehow they're able to like stay on top of people more, even though I run AR every week. I look at it, I reach out to people.
It's just you and you're doing 42 million other things. They have a whole entire team. Their entire job is to do what we did yesterday, minus the bat.
Right. So So
So we have decided, okay, we're departing.
yeah.
We have Dad, wish us luck, Godspeed.
Oh, and here's where I was going. So Natasha doesn't do this job often or ever. And I have done it so many times, and there's a variety of situations I find myself in. There's always a variety of people that I'm interacting with. I can treat a customer one way about collecting money, but I can't treat another customer the same way. That's just on how it works out for you. So you definitely have to, feel who this customer is and how you can approach them, talk to them, get them to pay their bill, and everybody is very different. So before I go in to talk to someone or I'm on the phone with someone, I always have to think, okay, like, how is this scenario going to play out? And 10 times out of 10, it never works out like it's in my head. Because in my head, I roll in there, I'm a badass bitch. I'm going in, taking...
She's got on her leather pants.
Yeah.
She's bald.
I'm taking no shit.
She has on her 1960s
I have a very...
baby blue sunglasses.
I have a very eloquent and sophisticated speech I give, and then I collect all my money and leave. 10 out of 10 times doesn't happen that way. Okay?
Of I want to know in your head, what is this eloquent speech?
Dearest sirs.
Yeah.
I have noticed that we have fallen on difficult financial times together. How can we mutually come to an understanding?
And they look at her and they go, you scare me. Here's the total amount that I owe.
Yeah.
Here's all my cash.
But then what actually happens is I walk in there and I'm like, do you want to pay your bills? and then they turn around. No joke. This has happened. They turn around. They say, is that bald head? Are you sick? Or is that for fashion? No lie. Customer has said that point blank to my face.
Was this on purpose?
So
is this a choice?
So I have played out many a scenario in my head about how cool, calm, and collected I am when I collect money. And like I said, doesn't pan out that way. Let me just tell you right now, Natasha rolled up on her. She was listening to rap, okay? She's a soccer mom through and through.
I am 100% a soccer mom.
We show up at this restaurant and I've dealt with this guy so many times that I just like can't care anymore. And so he gives us the envelope and I could feel that there was not cash in there. I go, is this not cash?
Oh, I changed my tune.
And he goes, no, it's a banknote or something, which
it's a cashier's check.
A cashier's check.
And wait. Side note, I full on know it's guaranteed. I could have gone and I could have cashed it. I didn't give a fuck.
They've already gone like 9 months without paying their bills, bounced so many checks, and it's like
we said cash. I didn't say cashier's check.
Right.
I didn't say cash or cashier's check. And I want to be a stickler here. I have now gone out of my way to drive to your tiny town to visit your big restaurant, Tiny Penis.
Why wouldn't you just give
me cash?
Why wouldn't you just give us the cash? That's what I specifically
said. If you have
said.
to go to the bank to get a cashier's check, get cash.
But I don't really understand like the actual cashier. I understand that it is guaranteed money, but why would you give that to me?
I don't know. One of our 8 million listeners should call into our show and let us know why that might have, been a totally okay thing. My thing is that I was at that point I would wanted to be a bitch to him.
No, so
I said cash. Right. You will have cash.
So we roll up on this place, and like I said, nothing ever plays out like it plays out in my mind. So we roll up, and I was like,
here's the visual: Felicia, bald, leather pants, red sunglasses, giving 1960s vibes. Oh, she has on her a Chelsea boot. If anyone knows what a Chelsea boot is, it's like a little commando boot. Mm-hmm. I am in, as we said, periwinkle blue leggings, a pair of Adidas sneakers, a macage coat with lots of fur, and like a white sweater. I look like I could be on the way to Whole Foods, followed by picking up my children at gymnastics to shuttle them on over to, I don't know, drama class.
So anyways, when I figure out that he's giving me a bank check and not actual cash, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Tasha comes out like our German shepherd. When he goes from being sitting right next to you and someone knocks on the door, Tasha just comes out swinging, never met the guy, not even once.
I wouldn't shake his hand.
She goes, you get in your fucking car and you go to your fucking bank right now. And I was like, and I just turned my head and I was like, the fuck just happened here?
And he goes, who are you? And
he said it more like, because he
was just confused, like, who is this? Yeah, who is this mom?
But he's treated me in the same tone and cadence because I've heard it before. He was like in a more like jovial way.
There's Felicia.
Yeah, because one time he tried to.
Here she is. She's just so little.
One time I was trying to shake him down, and he was like, "What's your astrological sign?" And I was like, "What the fuck?"
Oh my god! It
so when Natasha started swearing at him right out the gate, he was like,
"Whoa,
no,
little lady."
Yeah. He was like, "Who's this little lady?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't think you should use that tone with her. She has on her periwinkle pants. I don't think that's the tone she's looking for, sir.
This is a slipper sneaker. These are meant for running."
So then he was like, "Who's this little lady?" And Tasha was like, "Get in your fucking car and I will follow you." And I was like,
No. The best part was the name of our company is Chelsea Morning Produce and Daughters.
Oh, I forgot about this.
And when I told him to get into his fucking car and we will go to the fucking bank together, he looked at me like, I've only ever dealt with Felicia. Like, who's this little lady?
Yeah, you came out swinging.
He goes, and you are? And I go, I'm the S in Daughters. This makes no fucking sense.
It does make sense now that I think about it because the side of the truck, all of the trucks do say the name of the company and Daughters. And
I just didn't want to give him my name, but I went with that. I could have said I'm Felicia's sister. I could have said anything other than I'm the S in Daughters.
I'm the daughter you don't want to fuck with.
I think what I meant to say was like, daughters is on the side of our truck. There's more than one of us, and I am the other one.
Yeah. Well, that's a lot.
That's a lot of words.
That's a lot of explanation. So I can see why you did say the S in daughters, but
it was to the point.
A lot of thought needs to go into
my thought was get in your goddamn car.
100%.
100%. In which he did.
And I felt like I was holding him up.
I didn't. He drove. Listen, I didn't tell him to get in my car and I would take him to the bank, which could vaguely resemble kidnapping.
Yeah.
I told him to get in his motor vehicle, and he did. And then we followed him to the bank. Mm-hmm. He was like, it's all the way over in this square, which is like not that far away. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you could tell me right now that we were driving to Rhode Island and I'm still making you get in your car and driving to this bank, and this is where we are going together. So then we drove over to the bank together. I followed him.
It was so funny because when he came out of the bank, Natasha just rolled down her window, took the envelope, no words were exchanged.
And then I rolled the window back up.
So funny.
And I go, we're not driving away from here until you count that cash.
Yeah. That was really funny.
And then we followed him, this was the awkward part, back to that restaurant because you had left your car there.
Yeah, because we had both of our cars. And the funny thing is, because now that I've had so many different interactions with this restaurant, with the chef, with the owner, the first time I went in there, I was in a back room and I, started making threats, And then the second time I went in there, I stayed at the front bar because I knew they were going to open soon. And so I made the threats of, well, if you don't pay me, I will tell every patron that comes through your doors what you're up to. And so he actually was outside for 1 hour. He called me and he was like, well, I'm outside. And I was like, okay, well, I'll be there soon. I figured he'd like, go back into your restaurant, do your chef things. Don't you need to be chefing? And then he called me.
Don't you need to be chefing?
And then he called me again when we were at the renovation, and he was like, well, where are you? And I was like, well, all of a sudden you want to get me money? All of a sudden we want to pay me. And so when we got there, he was still outside. So he had been waiting outside for 1 hour, which makes me think that he didn't want me in that building. Because last week when I told him if he didn't have a check on delivery, I did say to him, I will personally take every single item out of your walk-in. I did say that to him.
I told Felicia that my goal is to now become the Robin Hood of the produce industry. And like, if you intentionally are not paying us, but your doors are open and you are generating an income and you are refusing to work with us and figure out a payment plan, which we are very happy to do with you, I'm going to come down and I'm going to clean out your walk-in and I'm going to give all your food away to a food pantry.
Because they that's an even better idea.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I know.
Let's do that.
The Robin Hood of produce.
Yeah. Because in I would say probably the last month and a half, it has been we have really tight terms now, and even those tight terms are getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
And so I've had 2 people tell me that their bank accounts were hacked.
That story was given to us. That was 2 different accounts in 1 single week.
Right.
It's not spaced months apart. They both said that their accounts had been hacked. I want to make a distinction here, though, is that I feel for restaurants right now.
100%.
Over the past 3 to 4 years, they have literally taken the most massive beating.
Right.
And it's such a lifeblood of our economy here in Massachusetts, especially in the Boston area, because we have so many people that work in the food industry and in the hospitality industry. And, COVID decimated you. And now we have inflation that's decimating you. And it's a slow time of year. And it feels like it's getting harder and harder and harder every single year for restaurants. And I genuinely do feel for them. But let me also say that there are so many people that are just so bad at business.
Oh,
and they're also
1,000%.
very immoral. Like, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. And so if your doors are open and you are generating an income and you owe your vendors money, I am imploring you to work with them to set up a payment plan. But to just completely stiff your vendors,
it's pretty fucked up.
Fuck, man. Like,
it's pretty fucked up.
It's so fucked up.
But
I can't get over it.
The thing that, and I'm very aware that people don't really understand the situation, but the thing that I find it's very hard to generate empathy for these people, because we actually do run our books and we see the numbers. I see that bank account every day.
Yeah.
We have an incredible overhead. We've got a whole fleet of trucks, a whole staff to pay. Every single truck, each diesel tank is like $600 or $700 to fill. So, not to mention every item that we disperse on a daily basis. If we have 100 deliveries a day, every single item that goes out the door, we've already paid for before it even gets in your walk-in.
It's already out. It's already out of our bank
And so
account.
when you don't pay for 7 days, 15 days, 30 days, and then if you somehow get to 60 days, it really does negatively affect us as a small business, but also other vendors. It doesn't matter what size you are, because all of those vendors have paid for their goods. And restaurants somehow have this very strange, I don't know how it was set up like that. I don't understand why lawyers get a retainer. Like,
yeah, I need to start doing some research
I want to be like, hey,
on why the food distribution industry didn't also get set up on retainer.
I want to be like, give me $10,000 and then I'll start setting you up on an account. Like, how is it? How are lawyers make out? It's incredible.
But also, it's become difficult these days for us to even be like, let's go out and get some more accounts. Like, it's slow, and I'd love it if we had some more accounts. I'd love to do business with certain people. But if you've owned a business in our area for, I don't know, any length of time over, let's say 5 years, and you haven't used us in the past and all of a sudden you want to, please know I think that you are stiffing your other vendors, and now that's why you've come to us.
I got an email yesterday from some woman, and she was like, hi, I'd like to set up an account. Immediately, my mind was like, if you haven't found us in 30 years, I want nothing to do with you. You're up to no good.
And like, the funniest part about our company is, our trucks are not like, if you've ever seen a Baldor truck, it's like, here's a white truck with, black Baldor on the side. There's nothing special about it. If you don't know anything about the food industry, then like, you don't see a Baldor truck and it doesn't stand out to you.
Yeah.
You see a Chelsea Morning Produce truck, there is a freaking fruit basket on the side with magenta and teal lettering.
Now I've added produce puns to every truck, so you cannot miss our trucks.
You can't. Move, Peach. Get out the way.
The best truck.
Let us roll.
Best truck.
What's another produce pun?
Every day I'm Brusselin'.
Every day I'm Brusselin'.
And
actually, I love that.
every truck.
That's one of my pump up songs, by the way, for when I want to get angry.
I would
Go
love
collect.
I would love if you shared with the people your pump up playlist, because you are on like.
Wait, here.
No offense to you, you are the most.
So boring and so bland.
You said it, not me. You are like a very, not boring, but you are a very like ordinary person.
I fucking hate you, Felicia.
And all of a
You're a very ordinary person. Hey, Tasha, there's absolutely nothing special about you, and your clothes remind me of something that perhaps maybe, someone who was just gifted hand-me-downs would wear. Never openly and actively choose to wear these items.
You look like if I were to walk into your car, you would be listening to Natalie Imbruglia.
No offense to Natalie Imbruglia. Okay, ready? Wet Dreams by J. Cole.
Oh, God.
Be the One, Dua Lipa.
Oh, Dua Lipa.
Sticky by Drake.
Damn.
Wasn't lying here. Delicate, Taylor Swift.
She's freaky.
Ready, Here We Go, song from the 60s from Roberta Flack. Do What You Gotta Do.
Damn.
Rich Spirit, Kendrick Lamar. A song that I loved because everyone is using it on TikTok, In This Shirt.
She's on TikTok.
By the Irrepressibles. Toxic, which is another by Realist K.
Yep.
It's all over.
Yeah.
Thingamajiggies. And then it just gets like really, really weird.
So The Ordinary Girl is really rocking some Drake and Dua Lipa, which is shocking to me.
Do you want to know the most eclectic playlist in the entire world?
Do you want to know what 3 playlists I'm rotating through right now?
Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
Hang on, I'm just looking at your face.
What do I listen to every Saturday night?
The Bee Gees?
Frank Sinatra radio.
Oh, okay. No. I love Frank Sinatra. That's fine.
So calming.
It is very. I put on the Rat Pack the Rat Pack playlist all the time.
Do you want to know why I put it on? Because obviously Frank Sinatra's playlist is so soothing. Sam Cole, Etta James, so good.
So you must know Roberta Flack.
No, I don't know anything about music, but that music has almost zero like digital sound effects, if you will.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
It is so bare bones. Like, it's really just like the music, and like it sounds like it's like one instrument.
If I were to describe your music style, so I own a Peloton. I'm not bragging here. This is just, it's part of the story. And I love Emma Lovewell, and I love her playlists. And I love them. And so she describes her music as if you go to a party and feel sad, but then if you feel sad at a party and you want to party.
Interesting.
That's how I would describe your music.
I don't. Oh, and my third playlist, which I've never told you this, I think is really funny. So I woke up one day and I'm what, 36? How old is Harry Styles? 23?
Felicia Marie. Oh, sorry, that's my middle name.
Not my name.
I'm Natasha Marie. You're Felicia Marie.
Let me Google how old Harry Styles is.
Oh my God. Felicia, he is not in his 20s. He is like 32.
Oh, thank God.
Oh, he's now available for you?
Well, yeah. Wait, how old is he? Wait. Oh, he's 28. Okay. So
wow.
So
okay.
That's not as bad as I thought. I woke up one day. I had a dream that I was dating Harry Styles.
Wow. You must have been so sad when you woke up.
I actually was. But I had never listened to any of his music. I knew nothing about him. So I don't know
Dude,
how.
I love Harry.
No, I'm not even kidding you right now.
the
I listen
album?
to Harry Styles every day now. And then I started Googling, like, about Harry Styles, and I was like, I need to find a documentary. I need to know about his personal life because, you know, Harry and I are now
He's
dating.
awesome.
Well, I was like,
And
Harry
yes,
and
you're
I are
dating.
now dating. So now I rotate between Harry Styles, Fleetwood Mac, and Frank Sinatra.
I'm not surprised that you like Harry Styles, though, because there was the album where the song In the Hallway, Meet Me in the Hallway, that's probably the album that you love the most because it actually has a ton of 70s vibes. Like, I feel like he riffs off of David Bowie.
Yeah, I can see that now.
You know, where we have now come to in our podcast is such a beautiful example of the inside of our brain because we were here to tell you a story about how two tiny ladies managed to get this guy to give us cash with just a little bit of what do you call it? Foul language. Well, some tough love. And now we've ended up with like
Harry Styles.
And then he sampled a David Bowie sound.
What was I just gonna say?
Harry, your boyfriend?
Yeah, I think I have a shot. when I woke up, I was like, yeah, I definitely have a shot. Meanwhile, I live in the middle of nowhere. Like, how am I ever gonna get to Harry Styles?
In your dream, you and Harry went collecting together, and he wore his amazing outfit, crop top.
He does wear a lot of crop tops.
You do too.
Yeah, we could share a wardrobe.
You know what's funny is that you and Harry could completely share a wardrobe together.
1,000%.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so what I was going to say about collecting, because Natasha and I have found ourselves in a very precarious profession at this point. And I think at the age that we are, and correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's just my timeline, as millennials or older millennials, a lot of my timeline is like self-help and all these people on YouTubes and TED Talks, and they're all about like, you know,
taking time for yourself, recharging, resting,
empathy for others,
self-care,
how to be the best leader in your company.
Okay, too close to home.
Oh, sorry.
I also have a day job.
but you know, all these companies that have like large HR departments, a lot of like, and I'm sorry, it's so hard for me. I want to be a good millennial and follow all these self-help YouTubers. I can't.
And then you remember that you own your own company and you can't do that.
Yeah. And then I'm like,
and it's not a regular company.
Yeah. I'm not a regular company.
I'm a cool company. We have 0 vacation days.
But
I don't remember the last time I slept more than a few hours.
Yeah. But then, you know, you'll get these like Instagram carousels that's like how to be the most efficient at your job and have the best boss. Set boundaries. Are you kidding me? I have no. But people call me.
My boss is my dad.
I had a kid call me at 4:30 in the morning the other day, demanding diced potatoes at 4:30 in the morning, and I was supposed to bring
wait.
them
Ready?
to him.
Here's setting boundaries. We're past the timeline for you to be able to leave your order.
Yeah.
Call again tomorrow.
I found it to be difficult for me because I want to be that like good millennial that you see out there in the world, setting boundaries and being a good leader for my employees. But then meanwhile, we get steamrolled by these customers, and here I am showing up to a restaurant with a bat, you know. And it's so hard to find that balance because,
well, it's just,
and I think it might be because
no one else that can relate to you or I.
Right.
Like,
why isn't there a blue collar TED Talk? You know. That's what I need. You know what? And maybe that's what we can do.
I think actually have we become a blue collar TED Talk?
Yeah, sure. That's who we are. And you know what? But I do find myself feeling really down on myself sometimes because I am the hardest person on myself.
No one hates themselves more than I hate myself.
Well, and you know what? At the end of the week or the month, Dad doesn't come to me and say, "Hey, can you run an accounts receivables report? I want to see your progress."
He just
thinks it's happening, and it is.
It is. But I feel like you and I we care so much because the person we care about is Dad.
Right.
Like when I walked into my job, you know, in finance, I didn't even know the owner of the company. I showed up and I did my job and I went home, and someone managed my 401k, and they made sure that I was paid, and they made sure there were snacks in the drawer. And then, I mean, you walk into our company, it's small, it's just dad. We don't have an HR department. People ask about if can you send down a sales rep, and we giggle because it's literally just us. And so I feel like I can't relate to anyone anymore, and they can't relate to me.
Right.
And that's been the hardest part about doing this with you, because, and that I think that's why we decided that we wanted to do this podcast together, because I feel like it's just you and I on this lonely island.
Right.
And
100%.
And, you know, I'm lucky that I have you, but I also feel like, you know, when I go out to dinner with my girlfriends, I love them so much, and they say like, you really need to take some time off. You know, fucking shit. Like,
yeah.
But I don't have anyone to replace me here.
Chantel asked me to go on vacation with her, and she goes, "Can you take some time off?" I go, "Do you mean like a day?"
Well,
and she goes, 7 days. I go, Chantel. The company would doors wouldn't even be open if I was down for 7 days. You can see how it's so hard when you see these fucking Instagram carousels. It's like, set boundaries, take a vacation, take a bath. In the summer, I don't even know the last time I showered, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I'm not on that train with you, friend.
Well, yeah, I'm in the middle of like taking care of animals, delivering coleslaw, taking orders, making sure all the trucks are on the road. I'm filled with grease and oil because I had to help a truck get towed. You know? It's like, what the fuck? So it's definitely been a wild ride trying to. It's almost like we were ingrained in this like millennial culture, and now I've been thrown into a blue collar culture. And how do you navigate that appropriately? And
how do you navigate it well?
Yeah, because every time I get aggressive or like yell at a customer, you know, I'm like, well, what did that TED Talk say? You know,
my sister told me that I should
ask them how they're doing first. Bring them some sourdough bread and then ask them for money. Like, sometimes you just have to be like, dude, pay me or fucking.
There's nothing else though.
Fucking pay me, dude.
That's it. It's like,
this is a shakedown. From the bald boy in a crop top. You know.
Is that Harry Styles or is that Felicia Carr? I don't know.
So what I'm hopeful for this podcast and for us is that our friends can get a better sense of what we've been up to for the past 4 or 5 years, and then also understand why we look 65 years old even though we're 38 and 36.
That's very true. It's very painful.
And like, I love my friends that have stuck around, that have been here for the ride, because, you know, not everyone has stayed, and it's been that way for both you and I. Like, we've lost friendships over the past 4 years. Like, I mean, life is not easy doing what we're doing, but at the end of the day, I get to be with my family, and that's like super important for me, and I get to be with my dad every day. What I hope to convey is that despite how freaking hard it is to do this job, to own and run this company, I'm super fucking proud of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, what I want to do is look at it through the lens of, you know, hilarity, because how else can you look at it? Because otherwise this would be a podcast with a lot of crying.
I mean, I do put a lot of hilarity on my Instagram, but
a therapist would say that's a coping mechanism.
Well, it is a coping mechanism. Because I go to bed every night thinking about, you know, there was this one customer that sent me this terrible email, and I think about it all the time.
Oh, wow, go on.
He was like, you're a terrible person. You're a terrible customer. I'll read you the email. It was, you have terrible customer service skills. I'm going to tell Corey and your father. And I was like, you owe us like 5 figures. And I told another one of our customers about the email because, you know, we just like chit chat. I'm very close to some of our customers, thankfully. And so I told her about this email, and that was like 2 years ago now.
You still think about this?
I think about it when I go to bed, because I used to think about how much money they owed us when I went to bed, and I was like, oh my God, this is the end. How are we going to make it through the winter? I mean, it was so dumb. And
I thought I hated Bruce before. I hate Bruce more now, knowing that he has stayed with you for 2 years.
Yeah. And so I used to think about how much money they owed us, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't tell Dad about how much money they owe us, and it's just going to stress him out. So I would take the stress on and think about it when I went to bed. And then when they finally did pay, then I would just think about his email that just sliced me. And so funny. That was about 2 years ago. And I do think about Bruce. I hate myself. So one of my customers that I am close with, she texted me yesterday and
Tell me it was that Bruce is doing poorly.
No, she goes, I went to dinner at that restaurant and we both talk about how much we do love the restaurant. She goes, but all I could think about was that email that was sent to you. And I was like,
oh,
and I was like, same.
Is this Lynn?
Yeah. And
I
was
love
like,
Lynn.
Same.
Shout out to Lynn.
Yeah. Shout out to Lynn. I love Lynn. And I was like, same. I still think about that email.
But also this conversation just proved that like we are so close with some of our customers
there
too.
are some that I'm very close with, and I find the hilarity in that also because it's such a wide range of customers that I've become close with.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm friends with this older woman named Paula who plays for the Cape Ann
tuba.
The Cape Ann band, and she plays tuba, and then she also teaches tuba to children. And so I love her. Paula and I have become like fast friends, so I always send her a bag of my favorite coffee on her deliveries, and she sends our driver back with fresh muffins for me. And
wait, you've been getting fresh muffins and this whole time and I didn't know about it?
Yeah. From the gingerbread factory.
Stop it.
I know, it's in like Wakefield. I know.
I know exactly where it is. You have been getting gingerbread muffins?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I don't think this podcast can continue because
like,
I just defriended my sister.
Tasha was like, can you take a vacation now? Tasha calls Paula.
Hi,
Paula, pay up. Paula, get in your car. I will follow you to that muffin shop. And
to the gingerbread factory.
You will get the Essen daughters her muffins now, Paula.
All right. On that note, we'll close out.
Yeah. And I think what would be really funny is playing some of the voicemails that we get from customers. Some of them are funny. Some of them are atrocious. And I think that would be really funny because it's just
there's a lot up our
in any given day we get screamed at, and
that's it. No,
that's it. We get screamed at. No, and
how dare you send me a carrot this big? I only want tiny carrots. Meanwhile, the next customer, how dare you send me a small carrot? It's like
I've had the one time a woman called me and she goes, "Who's doing the picking of the carrots?"
Wes. We send Wes out into the field every morning.
I'm like,
Wes
I don't own a farm.
Look at this beautiful carrot that I've grown and now I'm going to sell out of my truck.
What comes into the market is what I'm selling you.
I'm going to go milk this cow and make mozzarella curds for Frank.
I don't have a stand in the warehouse that's a variety of sizes of carrots, one carrot size. But we get so many different requests of sizes of produce that I can't possibly keep all different sizes of produce for all of these people. You get what you get. It's grown from the earth. It's not like I'm giving you a bottle of ketchup where it's the same for the past 30 years. Every week, the carrots will change. Cindy.
Well, we'll leave you this parting thought. Do you have one?
Oh. No, I'm thinking about Bruce and the email he sent me.
Stay tuned for more vulgarity, absolute atrocious behavior, possible illegal activity on next week's episode of Blood, Sweat, and Lemons.
Love you. Bye.